We are now officially in the month of May. Yes, it's May 1st, which means we are now just 11 days away until The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom launches on Nintendo Switch, which means we have only 11 days left to talk about this game before it releases. It's super exciting time, and of course today I have a video for you guys with 10 new and awesome things that I really hope is in Tears of the Kingdom. My last 10 big predictions of what I would love to see, what I think we could even see. So these are just based on what I would love to see from the game. I might make a separate video based on what you guys would really want, but of course this list is based on my opinions today, specifically on what I really want to still see and hope to be in this game. So if you're excited for this list and excited for Tears of the Kingdom and all the coverage that I will be doing on the game, make sure you stop what you're doing right now, leave a like, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Tears of the Kingdom and Zelda in general. But without further ado, let's get into our list of 10 awesome things that I hope to see in Tears of the Kingdom. Number 1, it's going to be really cool to fuse weapons and different things like your shields and stuff, but I still really hope that there's some specific items or new power-ups for Link. In Breath of the Wild, Link really only had 4 power-ups, which were thanks to the champions, which gave him certain abilities like protection and Rivali's Gale to fly up in the air, heart recovery, giant, wave of electricity attack thanks to Urbosa's Fury. So I'm really hoping that we have something like that in this game, maybe in every single dungeon, which will probably be number 2 on this list, but every single dungeon we get some type of new power-up or item for Link that changes how he works in the game. For instance, maybe he gets something like the Rock Feather, which allows him to jump higher, which we've seen in different scenes so far. We've also seen maybe Link could be able to swim in this game, maybe getting some type of scale item. We also saw Link in a wingsuit, which might confirm that that could be an item. But I would love to see more traditional items return, and maybe Link has to use these in order to explore different regions of the map that otherwise he couldn't without these special items. And of course, while we're on the page of items and power-ups, I still really hope dungeons are in this game. I know we talked a lot about this, and a lot of people that even played the preview claim that they could have came up on a dungeon, but Nintendo wouldn't let them go into the dungeon and stuff. So I definitely think there's a high chance there could be dungeons in this game, especially since a lot of the world seems to stay the same with minor changes. I think most of the game's new changes are going to take place underground and also within these brand new dungeons that could also be tied to the 7 tiers in this game, which I just think would be a lot of fun. To have themed dungeons back would be awesome. I hope they're not just all like the Divine Beast, where they're just kind of like this metallic kind of chic of feel on the inside and there's nothing else. I really do hope they're themed and they have some really cool, unique puzzles that are specific only to the dungeons themselves, and we don't see anything like it in any other part, which would also cause for lots of replay value to visit some of these dungeons again. But yeah, I just hope we have some fun dungeons, and I think that would be a great new addition to this game, or at least a great returning addition. Now this is one that I'm just genuinely not worried about at all, because it seems like to be the one thing that they're just on with right now. It just seems like the enemy and boss variations are great, so I hope to see a lot more fun, entertaining boss battles in this game. Breath of the Wild was probably lacking in one specific category, and I guess you could also say a couple of things if you want to nitpick, but for me it was one major thing that made Breath of the Wild feel a little bland based on this one thing, and it was the boss battles. I feel like the boss battles were very repetitive in the overworld, and then when you did finally get into a Divine Beast and fight a boss, it was always a new form of Blight Ganon, which overall just felt like a gimmick. Like, here's a Ganon with water, here's a Ganon with electricity, well, here's one with fire and wind. It just felt repetitive. Yes, we had Master Koga, and finally the DLC gave us a really good boss battle with Master Maz Koshia. So I'm really hoping that this game has lots of unique bosses, and from some of the scenes and stuff that I've seen so far, at least the overworld big enemies like the Gleeok is really cool, and even the art book maybe teased a couple of big enemies or bosses that could be coming, and they look great. I mean, we've even had some people fight that boss creature apparently in the preview, and they said it was awesome. It changed forms and had them use all their different abilities and stuff, and it was a really fun boss fight that I guess from the sound of it is just sitting up there in the Sky Islands. It's not even tied to a dungeon or anything. So I'm still hoping there are some really cool dungeon bosses as well and mini bosses, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I'm really hoping that this game does what the past games did, was give us a good variety of boss battles. So we know Korok Seeds are back, and it's probably how we level up our equipment again, getting more shields and swords and just opening up our inventory more. But please, I am begging you, Nintendo, give us eventually a way to find these things easier. I mean, seriously, to find 900 Koroks it was just ridiculous. You almost had to use an online guide unless you wanted to spend the most ridiculous amount of time surveying every inch of the land, and even if you did that, you probably still would have missed some because some were so well hidden, it's incredible. So maybe towards the end of the game, after you've already collected a whole bunch, there's some way to find a map after 100%ing the game, which allows you to then go off and find the Korok Seeds, which would just make things so much easier. Maybe just kind of marking them, and then that way, or at least marking a big circle around the area that they could be in, and then we can look for them. That would even make it easier. Just give us a map or some way to find these Korok Seeds, please, and also give us a real award instead of the poop. Like, please actually give people an incentive to get this instead of, like, you know, just tryhards like me who just want to 100% the game because they have to do it. That's just how I am. But please give other people a reward for doing this. Like, make people want to go collect these Korok Seeds. Please, Nintendo. Next, I would love to see a really deep story, tying into past games as well and having huge pieces of lore. And I still have the theory that this could be the game that wraps up the current Zelda timeline, because we've already seen Breath of the Wild reference some of the past games with dialogue from Zelda and stuff, and just little pieces and nitpicks here, and also pieces of the world and stuff have references to past games and callbacks and stuff. This feels like the game, or at least Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both feel like the games to kind of do that. And maybe there is some vast, you know, huge implication here that changes the timeline forever in the story. So I'm really hoping for some huge story lore here. It doesn't look like we're going to have stupid flashbacks telling us the whole story this time around. This time looks like we are in the present, and I hope that there's like lots of gameplay cutscenes, like lots of moments where we get to certain areas and cutscenes play and it ties into the current story, not a whole bunch of going back in time. Link already has his memories now. There's no reason to keep going back in time. You can have some flashbacks, maybe, you know, showing flashbacks of a long time ago, the champions before the past champions would be really cool, and the past wars back then with Ganon. But yeah, let's just keep it, if there's going to be a flashback, make it something super interesting that's way back in the day, and just keep the story kind of relevant. I think this could be really good. Hey, real quick guys, if you are really enjoying this video and super excited for Tears of the Kingdom right now, stop what you're doing, leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Tears of the Kingdom. Just leave a like and subscribe. It's not that hard. It'll take 5 seconds. Pause the video, subscribe, and then we'll jump back into it. You done? All right, back into the list. I would like to see new/changed villages and locations within the overworld. Now, we did see some small things that changed, like Hateno Village now has like mushroom shops, but I mean, come on, I need more than that. Like, obviously, we've seen Kakariko had some giant debris fall from the sky and change some of the landscape, but I would like to see new pop-up towns as well. We've even had a hint at a new pop-up town during one of the gameplay segments. It showed a house really close to Hyrule Castle, which is pretty cool, so I would love to see more towns like this that popped up, more civilizations, maybe even underground civilizations that's been under there for a long time would be really cool. But also just changing some of the locations that we remember from Breath of the Wild. For those of us that put in like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours onto that map, I would definitely notice any type of little changes based on how much gameplay I put into the first game. So that's the kind of things I'm looking for, like, oh, this has changed from the first game, so hopefully some big stuff like that. We kind of just briefly touched on the underground, but I would love to see a vast underground world, like something that's just amazing. Like, I'm talking the width of the entire map can have the same proportions underground. Like, could you imagine if there was just endless amounts of world building and stuff underground with villages and tunneling systems and secrets down there? I mean, we've already seen that there is an X, Y, and Z coordinate, which means that we've seen intervals go down and up into the sky, and we've seen one interval that went as low as the top of Hebra Peak, and also the top of Dueling Peaks. So, like, it can go pretty low down there. It's like -500 almost, which is pretty daggone deep. So that's pretty exciting. I really hope that there's some interesting stuff down there as well. We've seen little clips and snippets of it, but I'm ready to just dive down there and see what is hiding down there. So hopefully it's some cool things. Hopefully it's not necessarily like a dark world, but a giant, you know, second world down there. I can't wait to see that. It also looks like Link is not going to be alone in this game, where he has all of Hyrule fighting alongside him, as he had regular people in bucket hats and stuff, and even the new champions are fighting alongside him, and maybe even Zelda in her new form in this game, as Goddess Hylia could fight alongside Link, which is awesome. I almost hope there's ways that we could briefly play as these characters as well. Could you imagine if you could play these characters and do like 1 or 2 moves or something real quick and then switch back to Link? Probably not, but I want to see something that's really in depth with us fighting alongside these characters. Like, I don't want to just summon them in, they swing a couple times and disappear. I hope like they're tied into missions and maybe story elements where they have to be with us for a while and they actually help us to fight different bosses. I mean, we've had the champions kind of do that in the first game and kind of help us take down the divine beast, so I would love to see that kind of replay out in this game. This is most likely not going to happen, but I would like to see new ways of combat in this game. Yes, you can fuse cool weapons, but the way Link fights is very, I don't know, unathletic to me in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom, where he just swipes his sword left, right, and then maybe does a vertical one. I don't know, it doesn't feel like he does in Age of Calamity, where he just feels like a master swordsman. He's just doing all these combos and stuff. I get it, it's a Warriors game that's obviously going to have different combat, but I hope there's some type of combat tree or something that we just don't know about right now, where we get to level up the way Link swings some of these things. Like the light swords, he swings in a new way, and the heavy swords, maybe there's a skill tree where he swings those in a new way. And stuff like that would be really cool. But yeah, I just feel like his sword swings are very just bland, where it's just like swipe, 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 and then he's done. Like, it just doesn't feel like a swordsman. But who knows? Maybe this will change, maybe not. I would really like to see some type of upgraded combat though. And I know we've already talked about bosses, but finally, I would love an epic final battle between Link and Ganondorf, and then eventually Ganon, or whatever they want to do this time, maybe having multiple phases like they did in Twilight Princess, where it just felt like an ultimate ending, and there was just so many ways that Link had to defeat Ganon. And I think that would be a really cool thing this time around too, especially if he does turn back into Demise. You could have Goddess Hylia in the form of Zelda, both kind of working together there. You could have them help Link as well, and maybe Link gets an ultimate form in this game. Would be really cool to see him fight Demise or Ganondorf, whoever we're fighting in this game. But I just want to see an ultimate ending. You know, we thought that Calamity Ganon was pretty good, but then we actually fought, you know, Beast Ganon, and that was boring. That was very boring. So hopefully they really do up it with this game and the final boss is something spectacular, especially if this is going to be like a series wrapping game. I would love for the final boss to have maybe references from all the past Ganons and stuff and just be one giant reference, one final wrapping boss battle for the entire series would be amazing. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Those are the 10 awesome things that I hope to see in Tears of the Kingdom when it releases. Like I said, guys, we are just 11 days away, so the hype is literally getting extremely real. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and also let me know down below what your awesome wishes and hopes for this game are. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you on the next one. See you guys.